Upsala. So, da steht man am Flughafen und auf einmal steht da neben mir eine der berühmtesten Weinkoryphäen der Welt, Jancis Robinson. Jancis Robinson ist Master of Wine, berät sogar das englische Königshaus in Sachen Wein und ist wirklich eine der ganz Großen im Geschäft. Alle, die sich mit Wein mal beschäftigen, sollten den Oxford Companion to Wine lesen, oder sie hat auch eine eigene Website, die sie extrem gut macht, die Purple Pages, und da ist Jancis Robinson. Did you understand what I was saying?
I certainly heard Purple Pages and I heard Oxford. Actually, it's called Oxford Wine Lexicon, isn't it? In the German.
Yes,
yeah.
So we are here in Portugal now. We just arrived in Lisbon, and I have a couple of questions about Portuguese wines. How? Oh, this is just.
Someone's just ringing you there.
No, but I'm
Tell
not.
them to go away.
Yes. So, just tell me, Portuguese wines in England for the first time. How are they received on the English market? Do they have a big following, or is it still difficult for them?
Until very recently, I'd say life was pretty difficult for Portuguese wine in the UK because everyone expected it to be very, very cheap.
Yeah.
And the supermarkets, which are so powerful, would really only buy Portuguese wine at a pretty low level.
Yeah.
But we've got two or three specialist Portuguese wine importers who've been educating us and have been showing us that there has been a revolution in quality in Portugal. Getting us interested in some of the better wines, but perhaps the healthiest development is that we're starting to see one or two really distinctive, interesting, cheaper wines with a lot of fruit, which is quite unusual. You know, that traditionally Portuguese wines could be very good, but you might have to keep them for at least 5 years before they shed their initial tannin, and they would always be quite high in acid. But no, we're seeing a sort of halfway house now, which I think is going to make a lot of friends for Portugal. And the last set of figures about, I don't know whether it was sales of Portuguese wine or, I think it was, or imports, I'm not sure, but was very, very healthy. There was a big jump up.
So they're becoming basically,
they're not mainstream. No. They're still
still out there.
Very, very niche product, but it's getting slightly less obscure.
What is the most interesting grape variety for the Portuguese? And in your opinion, what would be the wine they could have a good chance on the market?
I think probably blends are almost always the best Portuguese wines. I was here in December for an event which made a big fuss of Touriga Nacional, and that's a very obvious grape variety to start with, to introduce to someone who doesn't understand Portuguese wine, because it does have a very distinctive character. Yeah. But even that, I think, is best blended with other varieties. So it's just a question of getting to know. Well, there are so many. I think that the National Vine Register, where at long last they're realising what a treasure house they have, and they've got something like the World Wildlife Fund, but for Portuguese vine varieties, and I think they've nearly got to 100 significant Portuguese vine varieties. So there's a lot to learn. Whites as well as reds.
Yeah. What is the most interesting area in Portugal which you would consider? Is it in the north? Is it in the south?
I suppose it depends what sort of wine you're looking for. But some of these, the newer style wines, are coming from Tejo, kind of this kind of area, lighter soils, fruitier wines, which might suit the more basic German market quite well, I would think. I mean, in the Douro is the kind of the Medoc of Portuguese wine, perhaps, but there are some lovely Dows and some very, very fine Bairadas, but you have to keep them for an awful long time before they come right. Alentejo is great for people who want a really sort of big, fruity number. Very easy to like.
Thank you, Jancis. One last question I have. Since you are a person who has a lot of interviews and let's say you're a personality in our business, which is basically the object of many questions.
Don't ask me what my favourite wine is, please.
Exactly. No, I was going to ask you, what was the silliest question which you ever had in your life about wine?
Until you said about wine, I was going to say,
Oh, maybe
anyone who says to me, I sent you an email 3 years ago, do you remember?